Welcome and thank you for attending the State Board of Pharmacy stakeholder meeting today via webinar. The date is August 21st, 2023, and the time is 10:01 a.m. Before we get started, we would like to introduce staff members from the Division of Professions and Occupations that are present. My name is Darcy Magnuson, and I'm a regulatory analyst with the division. Also attending is Dimitri Kunin, Senior Program Director and Program Director of the board, and Maria Hernandez, Regulatory Coordinator. As many of you have been to DORA stakeholder meetings before, we would like to reiterate the importance of your comments today. DORA makes decisions every day that may affect your life and your business, so your input is vital in the rulemaking process. Throughout this process, our goal is to create regulations that clarify and explain legislation, ensure minimum competency to enter and continue to practice, and provide only what is absolutely necessary for consumer protection without creating unnecessary barriers to the marketplace. Your input will be part of the information that goes to the board as it considers adopting revisions to the rules. More specifically, today we will be discussing proposed amendments to Rule 3, dispensing. The purpose of the proposed amendments, and Dimitri will go into a little bit more detail to Board Rule 3, are to reflect feedback from several stakeholders and board members, as well as the entire industry, to align all of our related compounding rules to recently updated and revised USP, United States Pharmacopoeia Compendium standards. Rule 5, outlets. The purpose of the proposed amendments to Board Rule 5 are to reflect feedback from stakeholders and board members as well as the entire industry, to align our related rules to recently updated and revised USP standards. Similarly, with Rule 12, nuclear pharmacy, and Rule 21 regarding compounding. This meeting is being recorded, as you heard, and will be posted on the board's website by close of business tomorrow. As this stakeholder meeting is held solely by webinar, please raise your hand using the hand icon if you would like to speak, and we will unmute your line so you will be heard by everyone. Or you can type your comment in the Q&A section and we will read it aloud. Before we start taking comments, we ask that anyone providing comments please state your name and the name of the organization that you represent, if any. Feel free to provide either general comments on the rule changes or specific comments on the proposed language. And please try to keep your comments limited to 3 to 5 minutes or less, and try not to repeat something that was already said. Stating you're in full agreement with someone else works just fine, and we will note that. If you are using the audio through your computer, please remember to put any phones on vibrate or turn them off. And whether you are using computer or phone audio, try to keep background noises to a minimum when speaking. Before I turn it over to Dimitri, we are showing the draft rules on the screen. I understand that with Zoom, sometimes that can be hard to follow. So what I will do is I will drop in the Word version of the rules that's posted on the board's website, a link to that, so that you can follow on your own if you would like. We do update that link as any additional comments are received or as any other changes are made. So please remember to check that. It's posted on the board's website under the Public Notices tab. That's the same place where you can find all of the written comments that the board has received. Once we do receive any written comments from you, we will acknowledge receipt that we have received them and then post them on the website. So similar to the draft rules link that's posted on the website, the written comments link also gets updated, so you may want to check back and review those. That's the best way that we can get that information out quickly to all stakeholders. So Dimitri, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Darcy, and thanks to all the stakeholders that are here today. We are going to try and make this as efficient as possible since there are so many rules to go through. So sometimes the scrolling will be relatively quick. I'll guide Darcy through those sections. We'll kind of go through all of it now on the screen, and then we'll open it up for comments so we can track your comments accurately. So some of the changes are just sprinkled throughout a few of the initial rules that Darcy mentioned. So we'll go through those relatively quick as they point to some of the USP pieces. So Darcy, if you want to go to Rule 3.01.34 first. And then if you scroll down in in this one, I believe the first edit is coming up under H3. Let's see, it should be 301.34. Yep, so there's a few of the changes. I'm not going to be explaining the changes or linking them back to any specific USB document. Again, just because there's so much to go through. And Darcy will remind a number of times, if there's comments that you have that are longer than you can provide in verbal feedback, you can email those comments to us as well if you haven't already. All right. So next is going to be a change in verbiage from cytotoxic to hazardous in Rule 5.01.31. So 5.01.31 under and it's under I subsection 6. Yep. And then the next one after that, that change is made elsewhere in Rule 12.00.32. Again, just changing cytotoxic to hazardous to reflect more updated language. And then we can jump to Rule 21, just because that's such a simple change. Darcy, I think you can go ahead and go to Rule 21.00.30, and that's where most of the changes start. And Rule 21 is our general compounding section. And here you can just start a scroll that will go on for a little while. I'll monitor at this point for any hands that are raised, but we do want to get through the visibility of these. Again, normally I would read some of the changes for anybody that may be dialed or calling in, but because there's so many, there's no way we can get through them all. I would definitely encourage you to follow the directions that Darcy had provided earlier in accessing the drafted changes on the website. And Darcy, you can keep scrolling through these. I'll monitor chat as well. And one thing to keep in mind too, this is not the final form that you'll see the rules in. Some formatting may still be updated from the formatting perspective. And the board will have its final opportunity to make any final edits or amendments at its hearing, which is in early October, specifically October 5th. And stakeholders will have a final opportunity to provide any final testimony to the board at that time as well. And just to clarify for any stakeholders that are here, both this morning and this afternoon, because USP has, or compounding has so many changes involved around the updated USP regulations, we decided to break the stakeholder meetings up into to be more effective and efficient with it, but they are all in one document from a rulemaking change perspective. And most, I would say 90 to 95% of the USP related changes are within the Rule 21.
And Dimitri, we did get in the Q&A, Frederick Glogowicz, sorry if I mispronounced your name, regarding 5.00.21 automated pharmacy dispensing system. Could it be clearer that this does not pertain to hospital automated dispensing systems like Pyxis or Omnicell? Thank you.
Yeah, so I think, Frederick, thank you for your feedback. Keep in mind, although that feedback is not related to USP, we'll take that feedback and include it for the overall rule set that does include the automated dispensing machines. Thank you.
I'm going to jump to just put it in. I will remember what page.
Oh, sure. Yep.
And then we can add it in right now.
No problem.
1.10.90. And Dimitri discussed the timeline too, just so everyone's aware. We'll talk about it at the end of the meeting as well, but we will be filing the notice of permanent rulemaking with the Secretary of State next week. And then the board will be reviewing at its September meeting the draft rules prior to the rulemaking hearing on October 5th. So if you want to hear the board's discussion, you can do that at the September meeting. The board won't be taking any feedback or testimony at that meeting. But if they do want to make any changes, that would be a place where they could potentially do that. And then at the rulemaking hearing on October 5th, stakeholders will be given an opportunity to provide any final feedback before the board begins its deliberation. While you do have that option to testify at the hearing, we encourage you to submit any written comments or feedback in advance so that we can circulate it through other stakeholders and everyone has a chance to weigh in. Because the sooner we get it, the better for both the board and for other stakeholders. And I'm clicking on those comments just so that you know that they're there. Again, in the link that I dropped into the chat, they have the same, that document has the same comments that you're seeing here in case you want to go back and look at it. I know right now it's unrealistic that you're actually able to read all of these, but that information is all public on the board's website. And that takes us to the end of 21. Dimitri, did you want to add anything else?
Nope. Thank you for doing that. We'll, I think, open it up for any comment at this time and maybe give it a minute or two. And if no further comment comes in, we'll continue the process going forward. Actually, I don't see any hands raised. I think hand it back to you.
Alrighty. So with that, we will go ahead and wrap up. Thank you for being here today and attending the meeting. Like I said earlier, the stakeholder comments and program recommendations will be presented to the pharmacy board at its next meeting, and then before the permanent rulemaking hearing. which is scheduled for October 5th, 2023. Please continue to check, excuse me, the board's website under the public notices tab. That's where you will find all of the current information, including the draft rules, any meeting webinar links, and any written comments that we receive. So that concludes our stakeholder meeting, and we thank you for being here today.